Yo, Aaron here, and welcome to part 3 of 3 guitar songs that you can play with just
one chord.
The first song in this video is by Yola Tengo and it's called Here's a snippet. Sometimes the bad guys go right on top. Sometimes the good guys lose. We try not to lose our hearts, not to lose our minds. That is a D chord, but how do we do that? Let's get zoomed in. So how do we play this D chord from by Yola Tengo? Well, we take the first finger of the fretting hand and place it on the 2nd fret of the G. The 2nd finger of the fretting hand goes on the 2nd fret of the high E, and the 3rd finger of the fretting hand goes on the 3rd fret of the B string. The 4 strings that we want sound from are the D, G, B, and high E. So that's the highest 4 strings, not the 2 bass strings. It's very common for people to use their thumb to actually mute 2 of the strings. Now that can be particularly tricky at first, okay? To rest your finger on 2 strings without pressing them down while holding onto these. So you're going to have to make a decision as to whether you use that approach for muting or whether you're just going to be a bit more careful with your strumming hand. Either way, make an effort, put some effort into this D chord and you will get there in the end, I promise. And the groove for this song is pretty straightforward. We're just going to go like this. And that is how you play a D chord. Go and have a jam to the track. Our next song is by Steely Dan and it's called Showbiz Kids. Here's a snippet. While the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light, while the poor people sleeping, all the stars come out at night. While the poor people sleeping with the shade on the light, while the poor people sleeping, all the stars come out at night. That is a D minor 7 chord. Let's get zoomed in. How do we play this D minor 7 chord from Showbiz Kids by Steely Dan? Wow, this one can be a little tricky. I'm going to show you the slightly harder way and then the slightly easier way. So let's start with the slightly harder way. The first thing you want to do with your fretting hand first finger is you want to bar. It's called a bar. You place this finger across 2 strings. Those 2 strings being the 1st fret of the high E and the B string. Okay, see if you can get a sound out of those 2 first of all. All right. Then on top of that, you want to join in with the 2nd finger of the fretting hand on the 2nd fret of the G. So then you should have these 3 notes. And then we simply include the D bass note as well, which is the D string. And you're just aiming for those 4 strings. We do not play the low E or the A string. We could, if we were feeling courageous, mute the low E and the A strings while playing the D minor 7. But that isn't the most comfortable position for the hand. So I would recommend thumb behind the neck here and kind of keeping the strumming hand under control. All right. The slightly easier way of playing this chord is by using 3 fingers. Not very common, but in the beginning, we've got to find some ways of doing things and getting creative, haven't we? All right, so we're going to place the 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, the 2nd finger on the 1st fret of the high E, and then the 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the G, like this. And we strum the same 4 strings. That hasn't changed. And once we've got either one of those shapes, we simply strum like this. And that's how you play the D minor 7 chord. Our final song for this video is by the Butthole Surfers. Yep, you heard me right. And the song is called Pepper. The singy part of that song goes like this. I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes. Cinnamon and sugary, softly spoken lies. You never know just how you look through other people's eyes. Nice lyric, that last one. That is a G5 chord, very similar to a G chord if you know it, but not the same. Let's find out how we do it. Let's get zoomed in. So how do we play the G5 chord from Pepper by Butthole Surfers? Wow. I'm going to show you how to play a G chord first, because that's actually more common, and then I'm going to show you how to turn that into a G5 chord with a slight alteration that makes that chord is actually easier than a normal G. So an ordinary G chord, bit of a handful. I hope you're ready. We're going to take the fretting hand first finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the A string, the fretting hand 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and then the fretting hand 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B. So far we should have. And then finally, with the pinky, we plonk it on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and all 6 notes should sound like this. That right there is a G chord, a G major chord, all right? Whenever you hear G or G major, it means exactly the same thing. However, in this song, it's not strictly a G major, it's actually a G5. So to make this one a G5, all we actually do is take off the 1st finger. We take the 1st finger off like that, okay? And our 2nd finger then will hopefully naturally just lean slightly on the A string, because we do not want the A string to make a sound. Therefore, a bit of the flesh underneath this finger, this 2nd finger, should touch the A string to stop the sound occurring. So when you're strumming, it should sound like this. And that is your G5 chord. And the groove is something like this. And that is how we play the G and the G5 chords. Congrats on making it through part 3. If you want more content like this, just have a look at some of these. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Goodbye.